Welcome to the Sales Dojo podcast. The podcasts are here to help you address the real issues salespeople face every single day.
Hey, we got Susie back with us this week. You're not on holiday this week, Susie. How's it going?
I'm not on holiday this week. No, I was missing for a couple of weeks, wasn't I? Because I went Monday to Monday. That was bad planning, wasn't it?
Well,
Good. A little bit sunburnt. Did the British thing. Didn't put enough sun cream on. Went a bit lobster red. Now hoping that it's going to go nice and brown.
or
Let's see.
flake off. And
Yeah.
Nice. What a lovely image.
There we go. What a lovely opening to today's podcast.
It was just me and Leon last week for This Week in Sales. We've got 5 posts to talk about today. Leon, you shared the first one. Nice little short one with some great tips. I'll let you explain this one.
Yeah, I did. So it was a time management thing, and I like anything that does this because one of the things I always think about when it comes to things that you know is that you forget how loads of people don't know it. So sometimes I'll go, oh yeah, like the Eisenhower matrix, and people go, the what matrix? I'm like, yeah, the Eisenhower matrix. And like, no, I've never heard of it. So yeah, thanks, Chris. And stuff like Eat the Frog and things like that. So anyway, this is from sales.io. Chris, you've moved down a little bit, so I can't read it out. But
sorry.
salesdaily.co. Yeah, and they share some really good posts. And this one's one of these very popular one pages. So it's all on one page for you. And there are 6 really good things that you can use. So one of them's GTD, which is getting things done. It's a pretty simple process. One of them is Eat the Frog, which is the idea behind that is to do the most difficult task first, which I forgot to do this morning, but I managed to do it this afternoon. Next one is a Pomodoro technique, which is that idea behind 20 minutes of focus and then taking a rest, which is a really useful plan. The Eisenhower matrix, Chris, I'll explain this to you now. Label your tasks urgent, important, both or neither, and then you can get rid of some that you don't really need to do, and then you can focus on. And this is a thing that always blows people's mind. You don't focus on the urgent, important. You focus on the important, not urgent, to stop any more moving into that first box and becoming urgent and important. Time blocking, which is putting stuff in. I know you love that, Chris. Putting them appointments with yourself in your diary. And then the Pareto 80-20 principle that 20% of your results will come from, 80% of your results will come from 20% of your efforts, and having a look at what that is and then getting stuck in.
Good rundown. Which out of that, because you're a very busy man, Leon, you're super organised because of it. If you want to get something done, ask a busy person. What stands out of that list for you that are any of those go to?
The genuine one that changed my life was the Eisenhower matrix, and not concentrating on the urgent and important stuff and concentrating on the non-urgent important stuff so it doesn't become urgent. That was genuinely something that really helped me. Once you master it, then you don't need to worry too much about stuff becoming urgent and important. And it also helps you delegate. So obviously we've got Joe and Rachel who we delegate loads of stuff to. And using the Eisenhower matrix keeps them really busy.
Yeah. Hi, if you're listening.
Yes, Joe and Rach, thanks for coming.
I like the last bit in the Eisenhower matrix as well. If you're a small business owner, block your best hours for what drives revenue.
Yeah.
Like you can do the admin bits and your whatever while you're having your tea at night or after you've put the kids to bed and that. You can't chat to customers and drive sales at 9:30 at night. You can, of course, but really work out what's money-making time and stop doing non-money making tasks in that time. I think that's a great point. Susie, you're super organised, like crazy level organised. It makes me both proud and slightly scared of you how organised you are.
I love how you both think that I'm organised, because Leon has also given me this piece of feedback. I feel like I am a swan. So gliding across the top of the water, and my legs are going like there's no tomorrow underneath the water, just nobody can see it. I think I don't feel very organised at all. However, there are a few things that I have done that I think help. The one thing that I can see here as one of the subtopics is turning everything off. So I'm really good at turning off notifications. phone on silent, or even using some of those focus times on the phone, turning off all notifications for email. So when I get a new email, a little envelope doesn't pop up. I don't get that the preview in the bottom right hand corner. No sound plays, and I think that's really helpful because I am a many things type of person, and so if I was seeing that there were new emails coming in all the time, I would get distracted all the time. So I guess that's one of the things that I do practice and preach. Some of the other things I like to use occasionally, Pomodoro sprinting. So that's the 25 minutes of doing something focused, then giving yourself a little break. Love to use that for the boring things. I call them boring things, checking emails, replying to emails, but also creating content or creating training programs, which are not boring, but they need concentration. So I love using that for getting things done. Yeah, I agree with all of these tips. I think they're all great. And I wish I could do more. And the next thing I'm going to try and do better is time blocking. I'm going to try and put more blocks in my calendars for getting the things done that I need to get done so that I don't fill it up and then panic and have to get it all done at night.
Susie, don't make me use the Yoda quote.
Which is?
Do or do not, there is no try.
Love that. Yeah. Well, I am. I'm now introducing time blocking. So when I have things to get done, I am now putting it in my diary. And if I can't quite get it done, then it gets shifted to the next day or something, but it stays in the diary now. So I am protecting my time better.
Little misorganized.
Was that a Mr. Men book?
I don't know if it was, but Enton's a Mr. Men book, thanks to the ability of ChatGPT to make things out of Mr. Men books.
Little Miss Spreadsheet really never caught on. It was a bit dull.
Damn it. That is me. You know, I love a spreadsheet.
So I've been working from home for the last few months, which I've not done for decades. And Jenny works from home as well. So she kind of gets to see how I work. And my new action point that she's observed and given me feedback on was I always plan ridiculously far too much to achieve in one day. Like, it's obvious to anyone I am never going to achieve all that in a day. Like, don't put as much in. That's one thing I'm working on, is being realistic about what I can actually achieve in 24 hours, so I'm not disappointing myself. And just one last thing before we move on to the next post. Point 2, Eat That Frog. Obviously, fabulous book by Brian Tracy. This was one of the first books I read when I set the company up nearly 15 years ago. You can read it in an hour. Like, there's no excuse to not read this book. It's absolutely brilliant, based on the tales of Huckleberry Finn. I won't spoil it for you. It's $5.99 on Amazon. Go and get yourself a little paperback copy if you've not read this. Eat That Frog will totally change your mindset when you look at managing your time and getting shit done. What a strong start. Second post from you, Leon. Mr. Mo Bunnell wrote this.
Yeah, Mo's trained 50,000 professionals, so he must know what he's talking about. And I like this post because it gives some actual ways to fix problems instead of someone just bitching about problems. So what he says is stall deals often have a common cause, and it's easier to fix than you think. You didn't ask one thing they needed to hear. Most client-facing professionals mean well, but in conversations, good intent isn't enough. What matters is asking the right questions, the kind that uncover what actually moves the work forward. Questions are a business developer's greatest tool. They move relationships forward when everything else stalls. They uncover challenges that no deck can reveal. They open doors that presentations can't, and they build trust faster than any credential. Here are 20 smart questions to ask your clients, organized into 4 categories, and the 4 categories are things that might have stalled the deal. So the 4 categories are building trust, uncovering challenges, advancing the work, and strengthening the relationships. Now, obviously, anyone who's got a little inkling of maths will know that 4 times 5 is 20. So I'm not going to go through all 20 questions, but I'm going to maybe pick out 1 or 2 and then ask you guys to do the same. So hopefully I will pick out the one that you picked so that you have to pick again, because I like doing shit like that. The first one I don't like, though. I don't like what prompted you to take this meeting today. And the reason I don't like that is because people have asked it to me and I'm like, hold on a second, pal. What do you mean? You fucking booked a meeting with me and now you're asking me what prompted me to take a meeting. So I find that a little bit affronting. So I'd probably put that one in the bin. But I do like what do you wish outside partners asked more often? I think that's a massive question. What do you think other people you work with ask more often? I think that's a boss question for them to go, because you know that what they'll do is they go, oh, that's a good question. And then they'll have a good think about it. And then they'll actually nail something really important. And another one I really like is, in your view, when would be the right time to get started? I think it's a great question to find out the intention. So sometimes we have decided that this deal's going to come in this week and we're going to sign the paperwork this afternoon. But often prospects have decided that they're just looking, or that they've got a budget constraint, or they've got something. So rather than saying, do you want to do this? Yes or no? If you say, in your view, when would be the right time to get this started? When they do, if they do come back with a date which is a little bit further, you can then say, well, look, it usually takes me about 6 to 8 weeks to make these things happen. So that means we probably need to do something around this date. And, you can bring it forward a little bit yourself and test the waters, stress test if there is some genuine interest in the product or service that you're offering, or if they're just pissing in the wind.
Love some examples of good questions. As you know, all three of us are absolute questionaholics. We love that. Susie, I'm obviously going to pass the book here by avoiding going straight to you, because I'm in charge today, so I can do that. All right. What stood out to you? Pick 2 questions, Susie.
You are in charge, Chris. You should do that more often. It suits you. So I was looking at the advancing the work section as well, Leon. So you picked one of the questions, which was, in your view, when would be the right time to get started? I'm going to build on that, if I may, which is, it reminds me, I was doing some coaching. Chris and I work with a great company, and we're doing some one-on-one coaching on upselling and how to kind of get people to go to the next level in their subscriptions that they've got. And Gina, I'm going to give you a shout out here because I love working with you. We were talking about this and like how to gauge how important something is for someone. And a question like that, like, in your view, would you like to get started, can really reveal a lot. Another version of that question could be something like, how much time do you think you need to consider this and to have a reply or to have a view on this? And depending on how they reply, gives you a really good insight into where they're at. So if they say, give you a couple of weeks as a window, you're like, okay, this is important. This is at the front of their agenda. If they say, I'll get back to you by the end of the year, oh, hang on a second. And Gina actually came up with a great comeback question on that one, which was, what's going to be changing at the end of the year that's going to mean that you're going to be able to make a decision on this? Fantastic question to dig down in there. So I really like that question to help get momentum, move things along, or figure out that something is stalled or someone's not really interested and then decide to focus on something else. So that's my first question I'm going to jump on, Leon. Sorry, I'm copying you. I'm also going to challenge what prompted you to take this meeting today? I think that's a really good question. Even if you're the one who's been asked for the meeting, so someone's approached you and said, have you got half an hour to talk about X, Y, and Z, and you've agreed to it, you, Leon, have got other things that you could be doing with your time. And so I'm always very curious to know, like, why did you choose to take time out of your day to do this? Like, could just be that you're curious or nosy or you've got nothing better to do, but typically there's something underlying. And so I actually really like that question about what prompted you to take this meeting. I frame it differently. I'm like, look, you're probably super busy. You've got tons of things you could do. You've chosen to give me half an hour. Why? What are you hoping to get out of this meeting?
I'm going to challenge you back then. That's a totally different way of asking that question, which is really nice.
Yeah, but I don't think we need to ask these questions word for word. I think these are guidelines, and it's super important as salespeople that we make these questions our own. So maybe that wording isn't the one that would appeal to you, but I've asked the same question, just asked it a different way.
Just go and have a straightener in the car park. Go on.
I know. I think we need to take this outside, Leon. Beware.
There's a number of good points you bring up there, Susie, though. Is one, you said then about that, what prompted you to take this meeting today? You said I'd frame the question. And I think that's really important. It is to get away from interrogation and have a proper conversation. Quite often we've got to frame these meetings. Hey, I get that you're really busy. You know, what made you decide that this is worth 30 minutes of your time today? Quite often we find people only give us 10. You know, just if you can make that question sound like you, frame the question or give examples. A lot of people we work with have told us they're finding this. Is that similar for you? Because sometimes people don't know answers. They need that little prompt with an example. So I think great templates here, great guidelines. One of the questions you pulled out, Leon, which I now can't find, which is really professional, about...
Right time to get started.
No, the question, what question do we not ask? Which question was that? What questions does my industry not ask? It was one of these questions. Make a part a priority for you now. Now, what feels... well, let's do some corporate bullshit here. We'll circle back to that, Leo. Maybe take it offline later. We'll run it up the flagpole.
Brilliant.
So the question that you're looking for is number 3 on the list. What do you wish outside partners asked more often?
There you go. The question.
You're welcome.
Super organised, Susie.
Yeah. Was that on your spreadsheet? You see, I love the possible outcome from this question, but I wouldn't ask it like that. I'd ask, hey, you know what? What does my industry just never seem to get right for you?
Yeah.
It's the same question, just a different way of asking. So I think the point Susie's brought up is brilliant.
So you're sticking up with Susie?
Well, both of you. Don't take a list of questions and think that's it. When I sit down with somebody, I've got to ask these questions. It's a conversation. It's not an interrogation. In your view, when would be the right time to get started is really important. You've got to get an end goal. But then what's your typical process for making decisions like this? Such an important thing to find out through the sales process. Hey, I know that you've invested in similar schemes before, similar projects you worked on. Tell me a bit more about your usual process. And this is where that framing of the question could come in, Susie, isn't it? Is typically a lot of the people in your industry we work with tend to take this to procurement. Once that's signed off, it goes to legal, past the finance people. And sometimes final sign off is actually CFO. Is that similar to your process? Like, give them some ideas on how to answer these bigger questions, or they're going to look at you like you got two heads. But yeah, great post that you shared there, Leo. Love all those. And like to see you and Susie snap a pool cue, have a straightener out in the car park one day over what good questions were. Okay, we've got another one from Scott Purvey. Purvis, Scott. Sorry, we still don't know how to pronounce your surname, pal. But we do love what you share on LinkedIn. Scott shared a list. I'm a sucker for a list. I love a top 10 and that. Scott's list was, having spent a number of years selling into the US, here are some observations compared to the UK. Now, Scott, if this was clickbait, you got me with a big fat hook right in me cheek and dragged me in there. Great example of an opening line for a LinkedIn post. So I'm going to run through this top 10 really quick. Okay. And then Leon, I'm going to come to you first. So you got prior warning for any of these that interested you, stood out to you, or you were surprised by. Sales is treated as more of a profession in the US, number 1. Number 2, selling in the UK still has a stigma attached to it. Number 3, selling in the US is seen as a fundamental part of business. Number 4, people in the US love a pitch far more than people in the UK. Number 5, in the US, it's perfectly acceptable to start a cold call with, "Hi, how are you doing?" I was going to do an American accent then, but I thought, don't be a biff, Chris, what are you doing? Number 6, Brits are still a lot more reserved. The stiff upper lip lives on. 7, Brits are far more skeptical when it comes to salespeople. 8, never start a cold call or an email in the UK with, "Hey." 9, expect some sales trainers in the US to run seminars like they're preparing to go to war. I'm really interested by that one, intrigued by that one. And number 10, don't promise to 10 times anything in the UK. What would you add? Lovely little sign off there as well. Scott, greatly put together LinkedIn post if you want to learn how to get engagement and interaction. So we've all worked with people in the US. We've all worked with salespeople from the US. Leo, what may be some of the stereotypes of the UK do you agree or disagree with? Anything on that top 10 from you?
Yeah, the one that I don't know if it's lucky number 7 or what, but like Brits are far more skeptical when it comes to salespeople is something that I've really noticed when I've worked with anyone stateside. Because I was very impressed with how people in the US look up to salespeople. You've kind of got doctors, dentists, nurses, salespeople, realtors over there in terms of what we're respected, whereas in the UK, from the bottom up, it's traffic wardens, salespeople, and taxman. So yeah, that's one I've definitely seen. I think when I've done some little one-to-one stuff with people from SIA after we've done some work on their platform and stuff, and hi, how are you doing was something that I at first tried to suggest that it might not be a good idea, but when I listened to a couple of the calls, they actually did go down pretty well, which I was impressed with. But I think that's more of that's a hello in America, I guess. Hi, how you doing? That was not an American accent either.
Maybe we all need to work on our American accents.
Maybe.
Susie?
I'm not feeling the love for this post. I'm sorry, Scott. I'm just really skeptical that there are a lot of generalizations in here that are not always true. They may be the experience sometimes, but what I see here is a lot of red flags for salespeople in different countries, US or UK, to use this as a reason or an excuse not to get on the phone and not to do something. So I don't really think that it's fair to make these generalizations. Gosh, I've actually got a strong opinion about this. This is quite unusual.
You're right,
for
Susie. That's
yeah,
sunburn's gone to
no,
your head.
yeah.
No, Susie's giving you a wedgie here. Come on.
Scott, I mean, I love it. I love the fact that you've like opened this up for discussion and stuff. But I read a book a couple of years ago called oh no, I've forgotten what the name of the book is. Catherine Brown's book is called Not to Sell as Human. That's Daniel Pink. It's called How Good Humans Sell. And she opens up her book about where the sales profession is compared with doctors and other professions. And she's American and lives in the US. And she did this survey in the US, and the sales profession was low there too. So the first point, I'm like, no, sales professions are regarded as low in both countries, both the UK and the US. So I don't agree with that one. Selling in the UK still has a stigma attached to it. No, it has just as much of a stigma attached to it as in other countries, as also it doesn't. It's seen as a fundamental part of business in the US. Yes, I've worked for US companies and the sales team leads, like companies tend to be sales-led organizations or product-led organizations, but you can get them in all countries. There are just as many sales-led organizations over here in Germany or in the UK. People in the US love a pitch far more than people in the UK. I can't comment on that one. I don't know, so I'm not going to. Perfectly acceptable to start a cold call with, hi, how are you doing? One of the conversations I remember having with you two in Clubhouse all those years ago was I too start my conversations in Germany with, hi, how are you doing? And it works really well because it's a bit like a pattern interrupt over here. People don't ask how you're doing in Germany. So when I ask it, people genuinely think, to answer it, they take the time to tell me how they're doing, right? So anyway, I could go on. I'm sorry, but there's enough examples there of me not agreeing. Ta-da! I can disagree with something.
Susie has come back with the attitude of she don't give a funk anymore, hasn't she? She's just offered me out, and now she's offered Scott out.
I know what happened in Cornwall. Flipping heck. I love it. You know what? It's all about, and Scott, it's a LinkedIn post. It's there to get your traction and attention, and it's there to start debate, and we get that. I know, Scott, you're not saying these are absolute gospel truths. These are, and you said these are observations you've made. Now, we know, Scott, you haven't observed every single sales meeting in the US that's ever happened. So this is your opinion, Scott, which is really cool. There's only one that stood out to me, really, because I could agree or disagree with all of them. Like, I'm kind of on the fence that I could see examples of all of this, but then I could see examples of the opposite. Number nine, expect some sales trainers in the US to run seminars like they're preparing to go to war. I'm fascinated by this one. Now, there were some viral videos last year, weren't there, of some of these kind of onboarding things going on around the world where proper chest thumping, screaming, almost like evangelical events that were going on in sales training, which I'm sure happens in every industry as well. They were passionate about what they were doing. But Scott, if you've got something you could share with us like that, I'm just really interested because maybe I need to up my game a bit. Maybe the seminars I run and the workshops I run are a bit dull. I don't know. Maybe we need to go on a bit more of a war footing, like you've experienced, Scott. That could be really cool. We'd love to hear off you. If you're in the US, we know we've got a big listenership over in North America. What do you think of Scott's list? Like, are you fine with pitching? Do you open your sales calls with, hey, how are you doing? Does it work really well? Do you start your emails with, hey? Do you try and sell from the US into the UK and find that challenging because we approach sales in a different manner? We'd love to hear from these people on the ground that are doing this day in, day out to see what's going on. Bit of a hands across the ocean thing. That would be really cool, Scott. And me and Susie and Leon are really fortunate that we work with lots of our American brothers and sisters all the time. If you're listening, hello or hey, and then you can delete it because it's not allowed apparently. Let's move on. Sheriff Shahan. It's another list. I'm sorry, I've been obsessed with lists this week. I'm only going to give you the headlines of this list. Sheriff Shahan said, and if I've pronounced your name incorrectly, I apologize. He's into brand partnerships deal. Says, I've been in tech sales for 4 years. Here's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Or me, Susie, and Leon, as it's called. You can pick which one is which. Pipeline solves most problems. Number 1. 2, the best reps are the most consistent. Number 3, cold calling still works. So does cold email. Number 4, managers care more about predictability than heroics. Number 5, choose your company very carefully. Number 6, soft skills are greater than sales scripts. And number 7, don't chase every prospect, chase pain. I love how salespeople use the word pain quite a lot. Sales is simple, but it's not easy. If you're early in your career, I hope this saves you some scars. Nice bit of advice. Great stuff. It's a list. We love a list. It's 7, which is the perfect number for a list because we struggle to concentrate on more than 7 things. In the conscious mind, anyway. Susie, do you want to snap a stick in half and beat Sheriff around the head, or what do you think of his list?
Okay, so I'm more in agreement with this list than I was with the previous one. So I'm going to pick number 2 because I like that one. The best reps are the most consistent. Top performers make 10 more calls, 5 more emails, don't skip steps. I can't speak, especially when no one's watching. So I think discipline is what I would say here is something that I see regularly with the top performing sales reps that I work with in all sorts of teams. I need to cough or grab a glass of water, so I'm going to pass over really quickly to Leon before I do that on the recording.
Beautiful, Susie. Leon?
I have no idea what Susie said there. She was coughing her guts up. Come back from Cornwall with an attitude and COPD. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. So look, pipeline solves most of your problems is the one that stood out for me, and not just because it was the first on the list, but most of the time when I've had a conversation with anyone about how it's going, once you whittle it down and peel back all the layers of the onion, the big challenge is that they've got 3 opportunities this month.
Yeah.
And therefore their breath smells of commission and their aftershave is desperation. And that's the biggest challenge. So yeah, I think that's the one I wouldn't go past number 1, and I would just, if you're reading this, think about making your pipeline bigger. And also, like, just remember that when you start making some calls this week, because you haven't done for ages, they are for people in your pipeline that might convert in 2 or 3 years. They're not for this week.
Yeah, it's a great point, which kind of links into all of these points that he's made, really. Managers care more about predictability than heroics. You know, we've all managed some amazing salespeople that smash target 1 month and then do nothing for 3 months and then have a big month and then nothing for 4 months. And that's really difficult for a business. Predictability, like that nice flat line going right down the middle, is what's gold for forecasting, for revenue, for cash flow, like for small to medium sized businesses. Being boring, predictable, and reliable is right up every business owner's street, rather than a one-hit wonder. So I like that one. If I just scroll down a little bit to the bottom ones as well, don't chase every prospect, chase pain. So let me explain what I think you mean by this. And it's very coffee shop wall, like antagonistic, which I like. If there's no problem to solve, there's no reason to buy. A lot of work I've done recently with some different businesses, what we've looked at is they're saying, I just can't seem to get any traction with these companies. And I think it was Rich Smith said something years ago to me about this. He said one of the biggest lessons he ever had was only sell to people who can buy your product. And it's quite often when you look a little bit under the bonnet, a lot of businesses chasing accounts and prospects that aren't a very good fit. Like, it's really difficult to get them to do business with you because they probably shouldn't buy your product. Like, go and speak to the right businesses, really understand who should be buying your product. Don't just chase absolutely everybody. Chase the people who are going to do business with you, that it makes sense to do business with. And then number 6, soft skills are bigger than sales scripts. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit obvious, isn't it? Give me a script to a Hollywood movie. I am not going to turn it into a blockbuster as your leading man. I'm not a Hollywood actor. You could give me the same script, but then Sir Ben Kingsley is probably going to do a far better job than me, isn't he? Soft skills, your tonality, your curiosity, your confidence, how you come across. Human brain hasn't evolved for thousands of years. We pick up on this stuff instantly. Doesn't really matter how good your script is if you've got bang on soft skills. So listen out for those two. Love that one. Before we run out of time, then, we don't want to go without mentioning Chris Orlob, who we say we mention all the time, but we just don't, do we? So sorry, Chris. We used to talk about you a lot. This stood out to us this week. I'm going to whiz through this quickly because it's quite a long post. Chris says he gets into internet arguments about this all the time. Don't, Chris, don't do that. It's just a massive echo chamber. Don't go arguing on the internet. You'll just make yourself sad. Chris says, people tell me not all successful people read constantly. They're right. But here's what I've never seen. Someone who reads voraciously. I mean, hats off for getting the word voraciously in a LinkedIn post for a start. Great word. Who doesn't become wildly successful. Throughout my entire 20s, I read sales and business books 30 to 60 minutes every single day. I can count on 2 hands how many days I missed. The result, everything I've achieved in tech sales, traces back to this one habit. Here are the 12 books that transformed my career. Okay, so let's just do a quick summary of the post. Reading's good. Learning is good. Doing stuff with what you've learned is the critical bit here, though. You can't just go and read. So do you want to list the books? Let's see how many of these we've read. Number 1, The Foundation. Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play. The Challenger Sale or The Challenger Customer. Questioning Masters, Spin Selling, The OG Situation, Solution Selling. He's giving loads of books here. I thought it was just 12 books. Hidden Gems. Oh, Hidden Gem books. No BS Sales Success by Dan Kennedy, who he says is the godfather of direct response. What Great Salespeople Do by Mike Bosworth. Start with No, Better Negotiation Framework than Never Split the Difference. That's a bold statement, isn't it? Massive amount of books in this book list here. I'm not going to go into all of them and bore everyone. We'd love to know what your favourite books are. At first, when I read this, I thought, Chris, it's not one of these. I get up before I go to bed, and the first thing I do is journal before having a smoothie made from squirrels' tears and unicorn piss and blah, blah, blah. It's not one of these 5 a.m. club posts, is it? But it's not. He's just saying, if you read a lot, you're going to do better. I think maybe you need an audio book or watch TikTok or a YouTube video. Self-development. If you just learn what you learn between 9 to 5, it's only going to get you so far. Just take that bit of extra time to self-develop and increase your skills. Has an incredible compound effect. Everybody wants to get into this. I could name you 2 of my favorite books right now that I'm getting into. We've done book reviews with some of them on the podcast as well, so it's a bit of a plug. Leon, you are incredibly curious. You are vociferous at taking on information from people and what you can learn and new ideas. You're not afraid of not knowing something. You're quite happy to go and find out. How much of an effect on your success would you say reading books has had?
I don't know, because I wouldn't use the word success when I talked about myself, because I'm not into.
I know you wouldn't. Other people might. So,
So yeah, look, I wouldn't so much say reading books. I'm honestly someone who struggles to read a book. ADHD or whatever tism I'm practicing that day means that I really struggle to sit there patiently reading a book, but I can do stuff like listening to a book while I'm out and about. I think the only book I've ever really read front to back more than once would be Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which I love. And I do find that most other self-help books that have ever been written since 1925 are based on one or paragraph or line from that book. So I think that's the big one for me. I would say I used to just read and not do nothing, and that never got me anywhere. So I now set myself some tasks from when I've read or listened to a book or done a course, is to like go and practice it, go and share it with somebody. I mean, Frankie goes mad because I feel sorry for her sometimes, because everything I've ever learned, I've then taught her. When she says, "How's your day been?" I go, "Well, glad you've asked. Let me tell you about the Eisenhower matrix." And then she gracefully cooks the tea and pretends she gives a shit while I tell her all about it. But yeah, so I often set myself tasks, because I try and go and teach someone else whatever I've learned, because that helps it to stick with me. And then I'll try and do something with it in the next couple of weeks. I think that's something I need to do, because there's so much information, books, podcasts, videos, audiobooks, TikTok, that there's so much of it to watch that it can just literally all wash over you and you can miss all of it. So I think the thing that I would say is, if you are doing any reading books or whatever, is just go and try and use some of it. You don't have to read the whole book and do all of the stuff in it. Just go and fucking find something. As soon as something lights your touch paper, go and try and use it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, maybe go back and read that book again and find something else. But just action is the key thing, I think.
yeah, I know you say it a lot. Is we all know knowledge is power, but it's actually taking action, isn't it?
Yeah.
Susie?
Unsure what my standpoint is on this one.
Okay.
So I'm just going to share some thoughts.
Back again.
Back on the fence.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
So I can only speak for myself. I do not read very much. I wish I could read more, but I don't see it as being important enough to make time for it. That's where I am on reading in my personal journey. I have got 2 book recommendations that I'm about to start to read, which I'm excited about. One is called The Fountain by Els van Stein. So I'm excited to read about that. And the other one is called Lust auf Montag, which is by Anka Serafin. And it's all about this rat race that we've got ourselves in, or hamster wheel that we've got ourselves on, which is that we end up going to bed on Sunday dreading Monday, and like what we can do to make work exciting again for ourselves, regardless of what we're doing. So I'm excited to read those 2 books. What I do know is what I miss is my regular commute. So when I was employed, I used to go to an office and it was the same place. I love public transport. So I used to take a tram, and then I think it was 2 trams actually. I used to take about 45 minutes to get into the office from where I lived. And I loved an audiobook. And I would listen to sales audiobooks. I listened to the sales playbook there. I listened to the 4-Hour Work Week. I listened to some books on becoming an entrepreneur, all sorts of stuff. Loved it. And what I then did was, if I really liked the audiobook, I went away and bought the book and then marked the things that I loved from the audiobook, because I needed to see it and read it for it to go in. So I do miss my weekly or daily commute for that reason, because working from home and working on the schedules that we do, Chris, you don't have that regularity like we used to in an employed world. So if you do commute, whether it's in the car, on a train, whatever, and you have that regularly, that is a great place to integrate this kind of habit if you want to get into audiobooks, listening, or reading. If you're on a train, of course, you're not doing the driving yourself. So that's what I would say was something that I really enjoyed and I miss. Do I miss it enough to want to make that part of my habits now? Not at the moment, but maybe I will do in the future. there we go. That's why I'm on the fence, because I haven't really thought this one through very well.
So I'd say here, all I'd change on your post, Chris, and I love it, and anything that encourages people to read and learn is fabulous. Is not all successful people learn constantly. I'd say yes, they do. Just be really open to. It's that consciously incompetent point, isn't it? The only thing I learn by learning is how little I know. I'm with you all on reading. I love reading. I buy book after book. Time, and I know it's everybody's excuse. My time aside for reading is at the very end of the day. It's time to go to bed. I'm going to read, and what happens? I get 2 pages in, and I am fast asleep. It's really soporific, isn't it? And then what happens the next day is I've forgotten what I read, so I have to read the same 2 pages again. And by the time I've read them, I'm fast asleep. So it takes me forever to get through a book. Travel is great for this. If I was sat on a train for 2.5 hours, it's like enforced downtime, isn't it? And yeah, get that book open, get me highlighter pens out. I needed some highlighter pens. I've run out, and I'm doing lots of whiteboard stuff and everything at the moment. And I just said to Jenny earlier today, have you got any highlighter pens? Yeah, I'll go and get you some. And she's come back. And I know you can't see this on the podcast, but she's now given me a pack of these little highlighter pens, which are like small cats. They're like highlighter pens for children. Absolutely ridiculous. But I will use these to highlight. I was reading Sunday yesterday, since we're recording this. I was reading a new book that I got, a business book, 3 pages in, and I immediately put it down. I went on my laptop and I built an idea for an exercise for a course. It gave me immediate, oh, that makes so much sense. I'm going to build an exercise from that. And this isn't just about learning. It also gives you a bit of inspiration and a bit of confidence. And remember the compound effect. If you read for 10 minutes today, well, there's 3,600 minutes of learning this year for just 10 minutes. It's the same with cold calling. I'm really big into this at the moment. We've got to really get hold of the compound effect of things. So check out Chris's post. If you've not read some of these books, go and check those out. Things I'm reading at the moment, Deconstructing Discovery by Mark Ackers and Richard Smith. We interviewed him on the podcast the other week. Really, really good book. Fred Copestake, Fred, if you're listening, has just sent me a copy of his new book, Ethical Selling. A lot of swearing in it. I don't know where the ethical bit came from. Only no. And great demo. Now, when this turned up in the post, Jenny looked at me like I had 2 heads. Like, how boring is that? How to create a stunning software demonstration. I mean, talk a glass eye to sleep. It's actually a really interesting book by Peter Cohen. There's a book for everything out there. There's a podcast for everything. If you're not green and growing, you're ripe and you're starting to rot. Get learning. What have we learned today then? Well, Chris Orloff's told us we all need to read. Get learning, even if it's 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Remember the compound effect of learning. We had a great top 7 list from Sharif Shahan. I think the standout one there is pipeline solves most of your problems. Get working on your pipeline. Scott, controversial top 10 about the differences between selling in the UK and the US. We want to hear from you in the US. We want to hear from you in the UK. Do you sell across the water to each other? What differences have you noticed there? And then a big list of 20 questions. If you, like us, love questions, go and connect with Mo Bunnell. Sorry, Mo, if we pronounced your name wrong. There's some great questions in there. And remember, you don't have to ask the question as it's written. Make it yourself. Frame that question. Give examples to help people. Make that question sound like you, but always ask loads of questions. And then another list that we started with, really useful post from salesdaily.co. Help you with that time management, help you get stuff done. Eat that frog. Pomodoro. I do Pomodoro, but I never realized that's what it was. I'm really good in short bursts because my level of focus is absolutely atrocious. The Eisenhower Matrix, which Leon's been teaching Frankie all about, or maybe try time blocking. Go and check out salesdaily.co's post as well. Help you hit your targets, earn your commission. Go and buy some new shoes. See you both next week.